Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis Me once again. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. You're probably wondering, why am I filming this in the closet? Well, the answer is simple. People are doing work out there and they don't realize that a YouTuber lives in this apartment complex. So, yeah, I have to film in the closet. I tried filming I tried not letting the noise be a bother, but I feel like it's going to be a big bother because, hey, I do this for you guys, and I just went and saw this movie to talk about it for you guys. And yeah, this time I'm going to be reviewing Mufasa The Lion King. It's in the same perspective as the 2019 film, so yeah, prequel to the 2019 film. And it's the story of how Mufasa came to be, of course, the Lion King, of how he had a very strong connection with his brother, Taka, who later becomes Scar. But of course, they actually weren't related by blood, but Mufasa got separated from his home, and he meets up with Taka, and they form a bond. Then later down the line, they go to a different part of Africa, and Mufasa is determined to find his mother, and Taka tends to help throughout his journey. But of course, they meet up with other characters that we're familiar with, Rafiki and Zazu, and I'm not going to go any further, but when this was revealed, people didn't know what to think about it, because despite the fact that the 2019 movie was a big box office, like, gargantuan success, of course, you know, they had to do more, but of course they had to make a prequel. So I respect the fact that this is not adapting into something that's completely shot for shot to something that we have seen before, but the fact that this is in the perspective of the 2019 movie, and you know what, I'm going to call it live action because, yes, it's fully CG and there's no humans whatsoever, so technically it's anime, but I'm calling it live action because what else am I going to call it? It's clearly live action. And when I did review that movie, I did give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was alright, but it's one of those movies that just gets worse the more that I think about it. The fact that, you know, it's just the same movie, just with less emotion. Despite the fact that it's longer, it just, well, let's be honest, it's a movie that I'm never going to watch again. If I was to watch it again, I'll just watch the animated film. And I actually did watch the animated film 5 months ago for its 30th anniversary in the theater, which was a great experience. But of course, this is modern time. Everything has to be either CG animated or live action for Disney. And I will say, I do think this is a little bit better than the 2019 movie, just due to the fact that, like I said before, it's telling a different story that isn't adapting into another animated film. But the fact that this is in the same, you know, animation standpoint as the 2019 film. But I can say right off the bat, the way they tell the story of Mufasa's history before, of course, falling to his death by his brother, I feel like his story is, well, it's a bit hit or miss for me, because on one hand, I like the way that, you know, the brothers tend to fall apart. But then again, one reason is kind of a little bit silly. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say silly. I would say more like cliched. And the fact that, you know, this is directed by Barry Jenkins, the director of the Academy Award-winning film Moonlight, which is phenomenal. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really expect him to fully succeed at this film, because Jon Favreau directed the 2019 film, and he's a great director. Like, I still really liked the 2016 Jungle Book film. I still think that's the best live-action Disney movie. His direction here, I think, is solid. I feel like the way he tells the story in terms of his direction is solid enough, but when it comes to, you know, Mufasa actually becoming the Lion King, the way his journey and Taka's journey plays out, I feel like the way it falls apart later down the line is a little bit underwhelming. And the fact that, of course, Taka doesn't end up being the villain. Of course, there's another villain who's like this snow lion, this white lion or whatever. I don't know what his name is, but I don't think anyone is really going to care who the villain is, because it's a very basic villain, very generic villain. But yeah, I do like how Rafiki gets introduced and Zazu gets introduced. And I also like how, you know, of course, Mufasa's queen gets introduced. But yeah, storyline, it's safe and simple. But it's kind of what I expected. I really didn't expect a whole lot from here. And the voice acting, people here, they try their best. And I feel like they definitely are trying their best. Plus, they do pay tribute to James Earl Jones in the beginning of the movie. So, hey, That's something that we were kind of hoping they would do, so yeah, they do, so yeah. But of course, this movie was already in filming before James Earl Jones passed away, of course. Now, the movie has its own songs, and for the most part, they're alright. Like, it doesn't always go into a random song session, but yeah, except for one part which comes out of absolutely nowhere that I feel like wasn't really needed, but they're fine. They're decent songs, not earworms or anything like that. It's pretty much like how I felt with the songs from Moana 2. They're decent, but I'm not going to be humming these tunes anytime soon. But hey, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can't be mad at the guy. And it's not always about song throughout. But yeah, I will say, however, despite the fact that Rafiki is telling the story, once in a while it'll cut back and Timon and Pumbaa randomly have to be, irritating. Like, I have nothing against the characters, it's just, okay, we get it. There has to be humor, and Timon and Pumbaa are all about humor. They gotta be here but you know what? If you took them out of the movie, I feel like it wouldn't change anything because, they're there for the kids. They're there to entertain the kids in case the kids are starting to get bored of the storyline. But either way, some people are going to find the storyline boring. My main gripe with this whole thing is just the fact that it has to be in the same perspective as the 2019 film. But of course, it's modern time. Of course, it's going to be like in the 2019 film. But one of the big complaints was the facial expressions for the characters. The fact that there was just no emotion to them. They try their best a little bit here, but it's still not fully enough for me to, fully just burst into tears with emotion because, yeah, this is supposed to be in a more live-action perspective. And the fact that they have to look more realistic. And sometimes it's hard for me to tell who's who, in terms of, the characters. Sometimes I couldn't even tell, some of them just look the same. I'm just going to say it. Some of them generally look the same. Of course, Mufasa doesn't have his full mane yet because, of course, this is a younger version of him. But yeah, in the end, guys, Mufasa The Lion King was a decent enough watch, I can say. As, a different story, the fact that this is Mufasa's story, a story of his that we've never heard before, I can say it's better than the 2019 film. That might change later on because my opinion did change a little bit on the 2019 film later down the line, as I definitely feel like it gets a lot worse the more that I think about it. I might feel the same way about this film too, but hey, it's all just going to depend. But I can't really say that I was suffering through this film. I do think it's a little too long. Had they have cut out those moments with Timon and Pumbaa, cut it a little bit shorter, yeah, it wouldn't really lose anything, really. But yeah, Barry Jenkins, it was a good try. But by the end, it's a prequel that I'm probably not going to see myself rewatching. All I can say is, can you feel the okayness tonight? It's actually not nighttime, but you know what I mean. Then again, the song Can You Feel the Love Tonight in the 2019 movie took place in the day, so it doesn't matter. But the reason I'm seeing this before Sonic 3 is just due to the fact that I'm seeing it with a friend, and I'm not going to see that friend until Saturday, so that's why it's going to be a little bit before I do get to review Sonic 3, but of course I am going to be reviewing it. Yeah, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.